All right, I guess we're live. Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you all again to another great day, another wonderful evening. I get to chat with my friends. Always looking forward to that. So here we go with another Monday Night Live. Just waiting for everybody to kind of join in. We got one. Come on, Sean. I see you. And I see Michelle on.
Hello.
All right, we got one person. Looking for Michelle, should be coming in soon. And I see Will just joined, send the request.
Thank you.
I see half of Michelle.
Oh, sorry.
And we have Sir William. Michelle's grainy again, so hopefully
Yeah,
we
I said she's
Got my
pixelated
Wi-Fi
again.
on. Hold on, let me see.
There we go.
What's up, Pete?
Actually, come in the frame and it'll be a little bit better. Well, how y'all doing tonight?
Sleeping.
I am too. I actually just took a nap, but I'm still tired.
I just finished a workout. I'm exhausted. So
Okay, so you're better than us. Just go ahead and say that. That's what you mean.
every day, better than you every day. You're
You're
welcome.
out here taking naps. You're working out, doing what you're supposed to do.
Ever, so that counts for something.
Applause to you. All right, go ahead. We'll do a quick introduction because I want to go ahead and get into this because I have a few things to say and I really want to hear what you guys got to say. Will, while you're fumbling with this camera and your beautiful white tee, go ahead and tell them who you are.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just putting together a Roomba at my house too, so I was husband team. Pretty strong right now. It's going. Yeah. So Will Jordan, Renaissance Will on IG. Follow your boy for more updates. Brand coming soon.
Yeah, I
You
see
go
you
with his beverages. There you go with
Yeah,
his
exactly.
beverages.
After that song, he feel like,
This is
you
a
know, in
smoothie.
his white tee from that Bow Wow Soldier Boy battle. I got you, bro. I'm with you.
This is a smoothie.
Michelle?
Okay.
Michelle C, aka DJ Make a Move, Jill of all trades. You can catch me on Candy Kisses QB. Or if you like makeup, you can purchase makeup or sing do. That's about it.
Sean?
Hi, everybody. I'm LaShandra Cordier, and I am one half of the Grown Ass Dating Podcast, and you can follow us on IG, Twitter, Facebook, and our website at grownassdating.com. Subscribe to the podcast. We love you. Yeah.
I'm Author Ron Walker. You can always follow me at Author Ron Walker on just about every social media platform. I even joined TikTok last night, so we're going to see how that goes. I'm actually going to have to watch a tutorial because I don't get it, but it's all
That's
good.
impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah. I'm not a target market.
That is the fact you said that.
Hey, it's facts. I'm not the target market, but my daughter said I should get on there. So I'm going to follow her lead and do what I can do on there too. But anyway, so tonight we are going to talk about dealing with exes. I actually left that question mark there on purpose. So I'm surprised Sean or nobody else said, why is this question mark there? Because it's really also a question of should we even deal with exes? I know there's one person in this little group right here that already believes that once you're done with them, they don't even exist anymore. So I want to go ahead and hear from Michelle.
You know what? What you not gonna do? That's what you're gonna do. I'm just saying.
I ain't saying nothing. How you deal with your exes, Michelle?
That is true on all of my exes except one. I'll speak on that. So there's only one that I'm actually really still good friends with, but that's because we were best friends before anything. But anybody else, your ex is probably your ex for a reason, so you need to stay that way. Get the hell up out of my face.
Oh, okay.
So hostile.
Yeah. I think that's a good point, though. It's difficult to just completely dismiss somebody when you already had a good relationship with them beforehand. So I think that kind of changes the dynamic. I've had this conversation with my wife before because, you know, after some situation, this topic came after one of our other good friends' birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So, Michelle, you were there. The other two, you guys were not there. So, basically, real quick, short story. This guy decides to have his birthday party at Dave & Buster's. He's a grown kid. You already know that. So we're at Dave and Buster's, and I'm sitting there, and Michelle and I are talking, and we're thinking the whole time, oh, this is going to be awkward for him because who knows who's going to show up that likes him. You know, he's an eligible little bachelor guy or whatever with a beautiful
Why you got to be a little bachelor, eligible little bachelor? You got to diminish him like that. Don't be doing our friend like that.
The small kind. The small kind.
Little guy.
Yeah.
But
he's fun size. He's fun size.
So he's there. He's there, and we're thinking, okay, these women are going to show up that like him and everything. To my surprise, though, I'm sitting there with my beautiful wife, and in walks a person I used to date. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this is interesting. And then in walks a person I used to be in a relationship with. And I was like, oh, okay.
Two exes?
I quickly grabbed my tea to sip it.
Exactly. I'm just sitting there like, oh, okay, this could go anyway. My wife is from Decatur. She'll tell you, like, but she's reformed, though. She's reformed. You know, she eats out, but she's calmed down a lot, but it's still in there. So I'm just sitting there.
Not having that.
Thinking, I haven't talked to this person since our split, kind of. We kind of had a little interaction, let each other know we were getting married, and that was kind of the last time we talked. But disclaimer, I don't have anything against her. I don't think she has anything against me. I think we're cool. To me, I'm good with my exes. I don't really have any problems with anyone except for one right now, but we'll get into that later because
You sure it's just one?
Of them, bruh, she getting on my last one right now. But anyway, the rest of them that I don't actually have to be tied to, we're good. The one that I'm actually tied to for probably the rest of my life, or at least for a few more years to my daughter 18. Well, no, my son too. But until they're 18, bruh. Anyway, long story short, we finally get to this point where we can no longer act as if each other's not in this room. And I was just like, hey, how you been? She gives me a hug. Hey, where's your wife? And then she hugs my wife. As we're walking out the door, my wife starts saying her name over and over. And I'm walking thinking she's putting it together. And she just stops as we get to the door and goes, did I just hug your ex? I was like, let's get in the car. We gotta go.
Let's talk about it later. We can talk about it later.
Yeah, I didn't know where the thing was gonna go, but it was all good. She was real cool about it.
You thought she was gonna turn like, hold on, I need my hug back. Let me go.
He was like, I'm not hugging anyone else ever again, and neither are you. And I was like, man,
touch no one. Touch no one.
Yeah, touch no one ever again. But bro, long story short, it just really put me in that mood to where I'm like, how are you supposed to deal with exes? What do you do when they're still around? What do you do when they're still in the friend group? What do you do?
Well, and I think that raises the two questions, right? So it's how you deal with it, and then how do your friends? Because this all started off because your friend is still friends with some of your exes, whether you have a good relationship or not. So that's a whole separate question. And then I think to answer your first question about how you deal with it, I think it often depends on how you end your relationship. Like if you don't end a good spot, you don't typically want to stay friends. And then if you do, sometimes you can, but I think it depends on the circumstances around your separation.
So how do you deal with exes?
I was telling you this. I feel like I collect mine like some kind of weird, like some kind of weird situation. But I'm also like that with people. Like it takes a lot for me to want to be like, I'm done with you, fuck you. It just takes a lot. And I'm not one of those people like I saw something in you when we were dating that makes me think that there was something of value in the beginning. So when I invest in people, I invest in people. We may not work out in the relationship, but I'm happy to continue being friends and things like that. So I typically, interact with a lot of my exes on a regular basis. I'm actually to the point where I typically can, like, if I'm done with you, I can help you, guide you, and provide guidance and context for your other relationships. While I'm not like in the weeds of your relationship, I might be like, that girl might not be good for you. Or she's probably really great for you. Stop fucking around. You know, like I can do those kinds of things. But
I've done that with the one I was telling you about, the one that I'm still currently friends. I can do that with him because we had a genuine friendship, but anybody else can kick rocks.
Right. See, but I typically have genuine friendships with a lot of the people that I date. Like I wouldn't date somebody I wouldn't consider a friend. And I think it typically starts off in a friendship space and it migrates or, evolves into something else. But I've been with people who don't do, like, I don't want you talking to your exes, and I've respected that boundary. Like, if you don't want me to talk to my exes, I tell them, hey, the person I'm with is uncomfortable with our relationship. I value that prior and like above all, and I will value that until I have to. And if we break up, I might reach out to you and be like, hey, you good? You alive? And if not, I move on. So I think, it's about respecting the boundaries of your current relationship. And if your friendship is getting in the way of your current relationship, then there's something unbalanced there. It's not a friendship.
That's a gem right there. That's a gem right there. You can't threaten what I'm currently in.
Correct. Because then you're not being a friend. You're being something else, and that's not okay.
And I've been in that situation where I was actually, like you said, kind of helping one of my exes to continue to move forward in what she was working on and what she was doing. But in the midst of that, I had to just let her know, like, we're not together and I'm with someone and we can't talk to each other like that. We can't do anything. So we got to end that, or we have to end everything.
Right.
Because my past can't threaten my future. That's just a no-no. But Will, jump in there. One of y'all check y'all mic, see what that feedback is. But Will, everything. Let me give Will some guidelines first. Because we went live, what was it, Saturday? Talked about believing in God and all this kind of stuff. And we had a great live, great chat. It's posted, but talked about, why we believe in God and everything. And I said to him, Will, don't go too far out there. Just let them know, sort of what you've been through and what God has done. And Will immediately follows up and he's like, yeah, so when I was selling drugs and I was like, you can't, like, allegedly. Just exactly. As I'm just
Will needs boundaries. Will needs boundaries. He needs guardrails and boundaries.
So tell us how you deal with exes, but don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't go too far. Don't tell your whole murder plan. Don't tell, where the bodies are buried, anything like that. Just keep it kind of surface, but let us know how you feel.
I'm just saying, I mean, I gotta be authentically myself on these platforms. You know what I'm saying? So
fans,
because folks on here that really know you, they be like, nigga, you was selling.
What you do? They question you.
You know what I'm saying?
People be on here like, you almost called me to come help you get rid of evidence. Like, So
but I'll say this. First of all, I do agree with the checking in with your current person about exes, right? I just have a general rule about exes. If we've smashed, I can't really just like keep being your friend, like ongoing being your friend. I mean, because think about it. This is a person who's seen you naked, and now like you're with someone else, and now you're having a continual conversation with someone who's seen you naked. So that's my general rule. So
other people, I mean, your parents have seen you naked. You can't.
It's different. You know what I'm saying? It's different. You know what I'm saying?
And what if you don't want to see them naked?
Well, be an adult.
I wouldn't have any problem. My wife was had an ex that was from like middle school or something like that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't
time matters.
But if they've smashed and they've seen each other's adult parts, I don't necessarily want that to be your bestie. You know what I mean? I care if they're alive.
There's also levels to like how you operate as friends. Like y'all shouldn't still be having like late night combos and all that stuff. Like we're not traveling together. Like you have to put the same parameters on your friends that you used to date as you do other friends. Like treat them like a friend. Don't treat them like something more than that, because I think that leads to confusion.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So I generally have like a, like especially at the beginning of the breakup, I think I'm a no contact. You know what I'm saying? Like if y'all break up, there has to be a period of time of not talking at all. I used to keep the same energy for like ever. Like I don't want to talk to you ever, like Michelle. But as I've gotten a little older, I'm like, it's cool. My ex had COVID, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, yo, you got COVID, you know what I'm saying? So that was a thing.
You cared?
I actually cared. Like I was like,
that's good.
Michelle was hoping for them to die.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
That's the difference.
I hope COVID killed you. Don't come.
Exactly. Michelle wants them to
I
suffer
didn't
and
say
die.
that. I said that's a good thing.
Mm-mm.
That's a
You
good
might as
thing.
well have said it.
That's horrible.
You said it with all of your eyes and everything else.
Your whole, all your body language, all
You
of
Yeah.
it.
know my life.
It's like, I heard
We
you
do.
got COVID.
We actually do
I
know your life.
was
We actually do know your life.
like, yeah, we do. We really do. That's hilarious. I think that's a really good point, though. You really need that resting period. Because, you know, emotions are still high right after a breakup.
Yep.
And that's why I'm like, so many people go back and forth and back again. It's a love-hate thing.
That's also, again, I still argue that depends on how you break up and like what the catalyst for that was. Like you might have been with somebody, especially if you've been married, like you might not have really been communicating and talking and engaged with each other for months before you hit a point where you're divorced. And then it's already like I wasn't talking to you. So it wasn't like it's anything different. What's the cool off period about if I'm already not, doing that? I think there's a level of like, it's the what motivates it. If the infidelity was at the root of it or something that was out of your control or something that you felt like you were wronged in some way, I think emotions get hot for a lot of reasons. And that contributes to whether or not you want to continue engaging with your ex. I know people who are like, I want to be friends with everybody because I'm petty and I want to watch them fail. Like, like there's all kinds of reasons that people do it that are just so rooted in the wrong things. But I think the catalyst matters.
You're like, yeah, man, I'm just kidding with Kanye. You know what I'm saying? Denzel, man.
Life's great since you left. And I think that's where I get kind of lost. My wife fills me in on stuff because, I'm somewhat oblivious to some things. And I'm like, what does she mean by this? Or why did this person say this or do this? And she's like, sometimes people just follow you to keep tabs on you, to watch your life, to see how you're doing. I'm like, why would they
you upgrade or downgrade after them? Like a whole bunch. It is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It is a lifestyle.
I just don't care. Like, I want you to be happy. I want you to succeed. Go on, get married, be happy. Because no matter what, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to keep succeeding. I'm going to keep doing great. I'm going to keep being me, no matter what. And I don't care. But it's really weird to me. People
Question: how do you feel about like your ex liking pictures, like liking your stuff? Like if you're on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and they're liking your stuff, and that's an ex, how do you feel about that?
That's one of the things you just addressed.
I like it. You should like it too. I'm great.
I don't care.
I like it too.
You because like you have a significant other. Like if she see an ex liking, is she gonna be like, "What the hell she liking it for?" Or what? You know what I'm saying?
You control what people see and do.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
That is a public platform.
Public platform.
And as a person like me, as an author, as a business person, I'm not gonna go private. Like I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I always do. Yeah.
Wait. Okay, like, that's a good question.
Selling merch. I'm doing a lot of stuff.
So hold on, this is a good question. So do you block your exes or do you unfriend your exes, unfollow them? Do you do any of that?
I've done both. I've had some where I've had to block, some where I've had to unfollow, some that just immediately unfollowed or blocked me. So it's no question about it. But my wife was saying something the other day. She was like, sometimes your exes will like your stuff as just a way to let you know, they see what you're doing and they see you. And I'm like, why do you care that much? I liked one of my ex's picture the other day with her and her husband simply because I'm happy for her. They're out vacationing, they're out doing their thing. I'm like, great, keep doing your thing. I'm glad you happy. Like when we broke up, I didn't want her to hurt. And I think, like you said, it depends on the parameters of the breakup. Yeah. To me, we broke up because we weren't right for each other. To me, I'm happy you found somebody that you work better with.
Yeah.
But not everybody is not like that. There's more petty men than petty women, believe it or not.
I agree.
So
I concur with that statement. I concur validate that statement.
Come on, now, come on.
You heard what she said.
That's what both of them said.
Okay.
I confirmed it. I
had it made me mad because I was like, why are you looking?
Two petties on the phone talking about men are more petty. Really?
First of all, I'm not petty. I told you I'm not petty.
It's Michelle. I feel like Michelle is definitely petty. Sean has more logic behind her decision making.
Don't let She is Petty LaBelle too. Don't act.
No,
Don't act.
listen, I make up petty thoughts, but I don't execute on them ever.
Chandra was in there taking the microwave and crap. Don't fret. She probably took the microwave.
Cook something now.
LaShonda, they would take all the batteries out of the remote just cause.
He took the filter. He took the filter out.
Absolutely not.
Exactly.
I can 100% say, to Tay's question, I have never blocked an ex, ever.
Mm-hmm.
I have unfollowed, I think maybe 2, but that was because they were talking out of turn.
Yeah.
They were being petty, and I was choosing to maintain some level of decorum, and I was like, I'm not going to do this with you, so I've unfollowed. So it's really just about that. It wasn't ever anything particular.
So my thing, my wife was like, when I was going through my divorce, my wife was saying, she was like, I watched you go through the divorce, and you just had so much integrity about it, and you didn't blast her on social media. Actually, I was thinking to myself, like, I'm going to murder her if I go down that path. So it wasn't like I was just some great person. I just kept thinking,
that was not for me.
I'm not a petty person. I'm not like a shoot and then leave. I'm like a shoot you 1,000 times. You know.
No, wait a minute. No, you know, I know you now. Now you weren't petty through the whole situation, but you had a petty moment. You had a petty moment.
Of course. Of course, but I'm talking about, I could have been petty. Like, my pastor hit me up like, "What's up?" And I could have been like, "This old cheating ass, you need to call her. You need to get in her inbox." Like, I could have been.
Don't ask me.
You know what I'm saying?
But I agree. Like, you have the ability, and as I said, I might have petty thoughts, but I don't have petty actions. And I think I had the same thing. Like, at the end of the day, especially when it comes to marriage, I married you because I saw something in you. Me destroying you on social media and bringing the receipts to counter your bullshit isn't going to change anything for anybody. That's not going to be productive for the conversation. Like, I want to be able to be friends because, like, I told my ex, like, I want you to be happy. I want you to thrive. If I wanted that, I wouldn't have married you in the first place. If I didn't want that, I wouldn't have married you in the first place. Sure. And so even after divorce, you can get petty if you want to. You're not going to drag me into that. Especially because, and Tay, you can appreciate this. There was a shared child. Like, there are things that, you're still going to be in my life, especially because my parents don't know how to let go of people. So they typically stay friends with my exes. And I'm like, I'm going to see you at Christmas. It don't do me no good to shoot my shots and then fire and go for the jugular if you still going to be around in 2 more months. So
that's hard. How do you deal with that?
Why
that's a good one. That's true.
Grace. Prayer. That's how I deal with that. Christmas, major holidays, all the things. I used to have to tell my parents, is he coming? So I know who not to bring and who to show up with and if I should show up and leave. Like,
they don't need to be at Christmas now. No.
But see,
when you gifts under the tree, you still get gifts under the tree.
Exactly. That's weird.
Nigga.
No.
You have to check with your own family. Like, did you invite so-and-so?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure that.
What happens when you get remarried? Is he still going to be invited?
Let me tell you.
So this is the conversation I have with my parents. Like, hey, FYI, whatever relationship I get in next, you will not disrespect my partner. So you can do whatever you want to do until that happens. But if I bring somebody home, that's a no. Or I won't come. So you got to decide what you want to do.
Speaking of that, I had to cut my parents out of my relationships in my 20s because now, in their defense, a lot of my girls look a little alike, right? So they was a little
absolutely
call people the wrong names.
Light skin, kind of thick, you know what I'm saying? And I brought a light.
You got a type. You got a type.
And
he does.
My dad, my mom says, "Hey, are you?" And she says the wrong name, and I'm like, No, that's not. That didn't just happen. And it really happened in real life. And then when she did it, I'm like, "What are you doing?" And then my mama tells me, she's like, "You got to stop bringing them by here because they all look the same to me."
It's confusing me.
My mom is notorious for getting all the names wrong. She will make up names. She didn't call the nigga Peter before. She'll be like, "Hey, get Peter," or no, get Brandon. I'm like, okay. I get in the car on the date. He was like, "So you was on a date with Peter and Brandon last night, huh?" No, nigga, she's just not good with names.
It'll ruin you. It'll ruin your life. It'll mess the relationships up.
That's hilarious. Hey,
my dad still asks about certain exes. I'm like, "Dad, let her go. You weren't with her."
Yeah. So that's what my parents do. They ask about the old exes, period. Like, it'll be like, "What about this one? And what about that one?" I'm like, "Hey, so the person in front of you is neither one of those people. So how about we?
Right.
How about we
why are we talking about that?
Focus on the present. That's the fun. But I'm like, well, I don't bring people around until like they're serious. Like I know that you're gonna be in my life a while. I don't bring you around my parents.
That's what my mom told me. She was like, let us know when like it's like the one or close to the one, but don't just date them and bring them around. I was like, oh, I didn't know. Yeah.
Like, yeah, 'cause we don't feel like memorizing all these names. Just pick one.
Boy,
that's hilarious. I think that's hilarious. My family is similar. Like my mom, of course, still holds on to the ex-wife simply because of the children. So
yeah, she got a grandbaby. They're part of her grandbaby.
So they're like really good friends. And like my mom doesn't even know what's going on right now concerning us. But to speak to Will's point, you know, when I was going through the divorce, man, it's a lot of emotion that gets caught up in there. And at the time, you know, I had developed some friends that were not the best people to be around. Well, they were great for me, but they were some individuals. And one of them actually offered, he was like, you know, man, I hate allowing someone to make you feel this way. Let me help you to feel better, and I'll take care of her. And I was like, what you mean by that? Like, there's some people you need a lot of clarity. You need a lot of clarity. Because I'm like, okay, so you're ex-Special Forces Marine. I have no earthly idea what you actually do for a living.
Okay.
You have no job, but you always have money.
It's an assassin.
I was like, it's cool. He was like, I got you. And I'm like, no.
Lasagna's the wrong person that need to be tapped. She's like, you mean murder? You mean murder someone? You mean murder?
I'm like, let's just keep it real clear, bro. Don't just leave her alone. We actually ended up getting back together, and I told her, I'm like, you can thank them kids for your life right now. Because if it had not been for those children, I probably would have just been like,
you know, why couldn't it be the Lord on your side? Why couldn't it not be for the Lord on your side? Why it had to be for the children?
Maybe she doesn't deserve to die. She doesn't deserve to die.
But anyway, so yeah, cut to a few years, you know, later. We've been cordial all these years. Everything's been great. We've been great co-parents. And now all of a sudden, she actually got remarried. I was proud of her, glad for her. She was happy for me. We all used to, you know, sit together at the kids' games, different stuff. We're good. Well, you know, whatever. Now she back to being, you know, just her. And all of a sudden, it seems like she mad at me.
Hold on, just her. What, she got a divorce or something?
It ain't my business to put her business out there.
Well, I mean, you already told her business at this point. And you just told the whole world that you,
if it's just her,
could have hired a hitman.
No, I would never hire one. All I'm saying is,
not you would never hire one?
I'm like, I would never hire. That's not what I do. You know, like.
Can we not incriminate ourselves on social media, please?
I would never do that. I never do that.
100% have an alibi for whatever he was talking about.
I'm saying,
right now.
Oh my God.
I want the best for her because she's still the mother of my kids. I want her to be happy. I want her to succeed. You know, I cannot control other people's actions, but for me, I want her to live and live wonderfully. But right now, she is making my life very difficult.
But that's because her situation changed, right? You said that her status has changed, and that, I mean, that doesn't even think you're responsible for it. But like, I think you start rethinking your choices when things end badly in relationships, right? You do the Rolodex of like what happened in my last relationships and where it goes, and so maybe she's in her feelings because of something else, but she's taking that out and projecting it onto you, and you know that just it happens, man. It happens.
All I'm saying, you know, when you're dealing with exes, you sometimes got to remember who you're dealing with. But anyway, man, it is incredible that you can still maintain relationships while even being in a relationship. So I want to know how you guys feel about your friends staying friends. We brought that up a little earlier. Like, Sean, I know I want to hear from you first, too. I'm still with your ex. So I'm like, I've never really addressed that and seen how you feel about that, but we've done business, you know, because business-wise, we're kind of aligned. He stayed in touch with a lot of people.
He did, and it made me very angry. And I'm gonna tell you why. It had absolutely nothing to do with the fact that, and I told people, like, even about my parents, I was like, listen, who you have relationships with is your business. So like, I'm not gonna be in that. But what started getting complicated is when you're friends, then I hate to be like, pick a side. For me, my issue was a lot of the people you were in contact with are because of me.
Right.
And you didn't like any of these people while we were together. And then as soon as we got separated, you were like, oh, let me hit this person up. I was getting messages from all kinds of people like, hey, he hit me up. He was doing that for business purposes. And it's really shitty because I have had many a conversation who was like, I don't like that nigga. I don't fuck with this person. I don't like her. And wouldn't come to events and wouldn't come to things. And then you want to be in everybody's face. It was so fake. And it pissed me off because people were being, the problem that I had with everybody is it was being secretive. And like, especially because that was a divorce. It wasn't like I was dating this dude and all of a sudden, like I was with somebody for a long period of time and y'all been in my house and y'all been at my wedding and all this other stuff. And then I would get to parties or events and he would be there. Oh, I invited so-and-so. Why? And not tell me. That's disrespectful.
Right.
And so I had a lot of issues with how people handled their business when we were still like going through that process. And then the other problem was he was spinning a narrative that was false. So then I'm having to defend myself to my friends. You're being difficult or you're being petty. No, I'm not. I'm not telling you half the shit you need to know. So if anybody, keep my name out your mouth. And then it became like, oh, well, you know, she's dating someone. So he was getting information from people. Like people weren't being good friends to me. And at that point, I had a problem.
Let's talk about that part real quick. I think it's weird. I think it's weird to me when exes want to know what you're doing after y'all break up. I think that's so weird. My thing is, you know, when we were together, that was your business. You know, totally get it.
But it's not anymore.
But it's so weird to me that people don't understand the idea of breaking up. Now, and I'll say this right here. I'm not sure if you guys seen this clip that was floating around social media. It was they have like a podcast and they're talking about this girl who's, you know, was being taken care of by this guy, this wealthy guy, whatever. He put her in a nice apartment, gave her a car, and they broke up. And she was saying that she still deserves to be in this lifestyle even though they've broken up.
For what?
You know, and it's interesting to me. My mom told me a long time ago. She was like, "You kids just don't know how to break up," and it's so the truth because people think breaking up is I don't get as many benefits as I had when we were together.
No, you get none. You get
zero benefits.
You get zero benefits.
It's like, nigga, you don't work here no more. You can't just be walking.
Exactly. You got a job now. You got a job now. Talk to your new manager. Talk to your new employer. You don't talk to me.
Card, nigga. Don't be coming up in here.
Return your money. And I don't know, Tay, Will, I think you can appreciate this. I think one of the things that I realized when I was going through my divorce is they don't give you a manual for helping other people feel better about your breakup and your divorce. Like I spend a lot of time having to help other people feel some kind of way. Like I'm going through something right now, but they're like, well, what are we going to do? And like, we love hanging out with you guys together. We don't know.
I think Will can probably address that better. To me, I'm really private. So I'm private even when it comes to my family. Like nobody ever really knows what's going on with me. You never get but so close to the people I'm dealing with. That's why, like, I have a general rule to speak to what we were just talking about. If you break up, I don't even talk to you about that person. You don't talk to them about you don't talk to me about them. That's why it's interesting to me that I have friends that are friends with my exes, but from what I hear, they don't bring me up. You know, you keep it out of their business.
Right.
But Will, though, with you being in the church and all that kind of stuff, for me, I'm like a church leader. So nobody gets that close to me to know everything. But when you're like in a church and you guys are close, because you just talked about how your pastor was kind of checking up on things. I know church members, friends, family, everybody gets nosy and they feel like they can approach you and you don't know what to really talk to them about because you're hurting. And to you're like, why don't you comfort me? Instead of trying to dig deeper and figure out what happened and what went wrong, what is your motive? So, Will, maybe you can address that a little bit more. How do you deal with other people?
I thought it was super weird too. Like, I was getting people. First of all, my inbox was flooded during my divorce time. Like when I tell you, I'm not kidding. Like maybe 20 something people would reach out. Like it would just be like one day. Like I got 5 inboxes, and the thing I hated was these people like, oh my God, but you guys were so cute together, and y'all got, and I'm like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? Like, what?
I remember when you did your petty post, the only thing I asked you was, you straight? Because I didn't care about that.
Like, that's really what I was looking for. I'm looking for, like, my homies to be, like, good. You know what I'm saying? Like, my actual friends, but, like, church member friends, I mean, I'm not going to front, like, like, I don't know them, but it's like, you like an usher, I hug you. That's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know what I mean? But like,
we're acquaintances, not friends. Like,
Right.
so that was rough. I'm not gonna front. I mean, and then I started getting a little snappy. Like it was like I remember literally like somebody was like, oh my God, but you guys look so good together. I'm like, yeah, it just didn't work out. And they kept on going like, oh, but you got light eyes and she got light eyes. Y'all would have had just some light eyed kids. And I'm like, nigga.
So what?
First of all, nigga, I will find someone else with some light eyes. How about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you like
his feet is tight. He has a type.
Yeah, you be fine, nigga. You need to break up too. You know what I'm saying? Like
Andy Ricky, people don't know when to let go.
Yeah,
that's right.
I definitely.
But people also feel entitled to your answers to those questions. Like to me, it was the audacity that you even asked me questions like that. Why did it end? None of your goddamn business. Like it's over. And my answer to everybody used to be, listen, you don't know what happened, but no good marriage ends in divorce. That's all you need to know. We weren't in a good place. It doesn't matter. Nobody cheated, and everybody wants something epic to be wrong. It wasn't always that case for me, at least. And so I was just like, it's not something I'm comfortable talking about, and I don't feel comfortable continuing this conversation. I'm not here to make you feel better about my choices. I'm here to be with a partner who supports me, and that's not where I got. So,
what do they get? Why can't just the divorce just be the divorce? Why do you have to know all the details? It's like
people feel entitled to know a lot of things. That doesn't stop people from
asking. They can be entitled to kick your ass too. So,
and they were. A lot of people were kissing this ass. I'm done.
I'll even say this, and I've gotten to a point where I don't really care. I've been married a year now. Who cares? It's not that just my ex cheated. This is how I try to explain it. So when Cassie was with Diddy for that really, really long time, and everybody's making such a big deal about it that Diddy didn't want to have any kids. Yeah. He wanted kids. He didn't want to get married, but she wanted kids and marriage. And I kept trying to explain to women, even guys, I'm like, yo, if you're dope, people will put up with some stuff, right? But see, like if you telling her I don't want to have no kids, I don't want to get married, but you're on a boat telling her that,
she'll stay a little longer.
If you're in a Maybach telling her that, it's a different no, right? My ex was trash anyway. Like she was a trash human anyway. I put up with a lot of crap anyway. So when she cheated on top of that, I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. You've opened the door that biblically
walk away.
I could walk
that I can kick her ass out of.
So I did. So you know what I'm saying? So, but if it was like some dope, if she was like a dope individual and it was like, oh my God, I'm getting treated so well, how on earth would I replace this person? Nigga.
Easy.
Man, I'm just grateful that you went to therapy and prayed and all this kind of stuff to heal, because it could have got real bad real fast.
Oh yeah.
And I think because you were out of state at the time, that made it a little bit more difficult too, because
your support system.
Yeah.
I flew home to be with these dudes.
I know. I remember.
It was bad.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just glad no one got pregnant during that time. Because
no babies in the making of this divorce.
that too.
Like, if you gonna go out,
that's crazy.
I'm just fortunate that wasn't my experience. Like I'm just so grateful that I didn't have to deal with something so tragic as the catalyst to dissolve my marriage. Like it was, and I don't think my ex was trash. I just think he had some issues that he didn't want to work out, which was on him. To me, that was the hardest part. I think I stayed. I wasn't on no boat. I wasn't getting all that stuff. I stayed because I wanted to believe that you were going to be able to get yourself together. And I think, when you have two people that just can't make it work, that's even harder for people, because at least you can say, like, there was a reason why. Everybody could not understand it. They're like, oh, you guys are so great together. You look, what about your kids? What about this? I'm like, what? Like, you don't know what was happening for me. I was miserable. And so was he. So it worked. It was harder for people to fathom because there wasn't some like big issue, and like there wasn't this big thing. Like everybody wanted it to be something so tragic, and I'm like, sometimes people just aren't good for each other, and they're just not good to be married. Like I think me and him actually would have made better friends than we did in a relationship. And instead of us really acknowledging that, it was we need to be together because that's what people do, right? Like that's the only thing we can do because people don't know how to just be friends with each other either. So
these are super facts. My my ex, not my ex-wife, but an ex of mine is an actress, right? And I remember being with her while she was getting her acting career off the ground. I remember going to auditions with her. I remember she was on a couple of movies, and I remember after we broke up, she actually got booked and was in like a feature in a movie. And I remember my brother called, who's, you know, in entertainment, but also has a trash point of view when it comes to relationships. He was like, man, I bet you wish you had to stay with her now. And he just could not understand that
No.
people in relationships, they actually want to be with a great person too. Like if you're not good for me, I don't care what you do. Like I don't care. Like Cassie left Diddy. Keep that in mind. Like she left a billionaire. She was like, nah, I'm straight. And got with a
And then she found somebody who wasn't a billionaire, had 2 kids, and was living her best life. Like she found someone who helped her with her happy.
You gotta do what works for you.
Yeah.
Correct.
Absolutely.
It's not always about that stuff. And I think a lot of people forget that. Like you said, especially those people that are on the outside looking in, thinking everything's so merry, but you don't know what happens when those doors close and those 2 people are alone at home. Man, I've had the police called on me. I've had brothers after me. I've had all kinds of stuff. And it's like, you don't know how this person sees you. No, because you don't know how the person sees you. That's the difference. The whole world can think you're the best person in the world.
Yeah.
But you don't know how your spouse sees you. You don't know how that person you're in a relationship sees you. When I was going through a divorce, she saw me as the enemy, as a threat. And I'm like, do you realize all I've done is tried to make your life peaceful and wonderful and been the best father I could be, the best husband I could be, supplied you with everything you needed? Don't forget where you were when we met. Don't forget how I added you to my credit. Don't forget how you became authorized using on my credit card because you didn't have any credit. I bought the house. I paid for the wedding. I did everything. You didn't work most of the marriage. I took care of everything. And at the same time,
damn it.
At the same time,
yeah, okay.
It's big facts, bro. Like, I'm the best thing to happen, and you didn't realize it until after we got divorced. And now you're mad about it.
But look,
now you're not mad, big mad. You're big mad about it.
But the thing is, like, okay, just to clear up that whole police thing. So she called the police on me, and she's like, you know, expecting me to run away. She was like, I'm calling the police. I was like, great, I'm going to get a shower. She was like, what are you taking a shower for? I'm like, if I'm going to jail, I'm going clean. That's the way I am. I know they're going to make me take a shower when I get there. But I don't want to drop the soap. Yeah, I don't like their soap. I don't like the way they do things.
My skin is sensitive.
But I'm like, bro, she called the police. The police got there and was like, man, did he hit you? Did he threaten you? Did he do this? And she was like, no. I was like, why did you call us?
Right.
He was yelling. It was like, what did he say? He was like, leave me alone. The cop took me outside. He goes, do you want us to take her in? I was like,
yeah, you should have.
That's a false police report right there.
Right.
But I'm like, this is what I'm saying. To you, you look at me as this terrible individual because things aren't what you want them to be, because it's not realistic. We had to go through therapy, and they told us you live in a fantasy world.
Yep.
You live in a fantasy world. This is not real marriage. This is not realistic. You came in thinking it was just going to be great all the time. That's not realistic.
Well, that's
so we went through stupid stuff for no reason.
That goes back to a lot of us, especially as Black folks, didn't have a really good example of
no good models. We don't have healthy relationship models.
So expectations are super off. You know, you have this expectation of this dude, you know, coming in on a white horse. And I think with my ex is she saw my my vulnerability to her, you know, how much I was into her and, you know, loved her, and saw it as some simp behavior. Like she assumed I was a simp because I'm into her, which is like such a bad thing. Such a bad thing to a nigga like myself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, you know, I could just be done with this junk, right? And she thought I was a simp and was not able to do that. And I'm like, you need to ask somebody about me. You really do.
Watch me work.
Nigga, ask about me.
You need to ask somebody about me, man. Like these Libras aren't built the same. You know what I mean? You know.
Well, speaking for the Leo brigade, we are not built the same either. Leos are not either.
Well, most of them Leos.
Aquarius plays no games either.
Ask somebody about me. I tell you.
Yeah,
I think somebody made a really good point in the comments though. Like people want a hero and a villain, right? And I think people expect there to be a hero and a villain, and that's not necessarily true. And I think Tay, to your point, because I can speak for the cadre of women who've never had to call the cops on a man and never would, because I don't. Hopefully not. I mean, I can't speak for that. I don't know. But like I was you in on somebody. But nowadays, I was you in my relationship. Like I was you in my relationship. So to be the person that was the provider, I bought the house, I'm doing all this stuff. So like, at what point is it going to be, you understanding that I'm actually here to care for you and take care of you, and I'm doing all the things that I can. And if you don't want to, you want to be big mad about it, that's fine. And I remember my ex told me, you're never going to find anybody like me. To which I said, that is the point. Because I don't want nobody to be in this with you anymore, right? Like, it's like, if it's not working, why would I want that? And I think when you have all of these expectations for relationships and marriage, and we did therapy, we did all of that, when there's all these expectations and those are not being met, and those needs aren't being fulfilled, no matter whose needs they are, then it's a recipe for disaster. And at that point, I think it gets really hard to maintain positive relationships with that person because there's toxicity. There's a lot of unhealthy behavior and a lot of unhealthy habit forming that has created something that you can't be friends right away, or you can't be friends at all in some cases, because that is a history that you have together. And that is something that I think people lose sight of too, because it's not like, again, if you're not having some kind of catalyst reason to break up, it's hard to be like, you were my best friend for X amount of years. You were the person I confided in for X amount of years. You're the person I talked to about everything for X amount of years. I think my first few weeks after divorce, that was the hardest thing. I would see something and be like, I want to call him. That's funny. Like, he needs to hear this is hilarious. Like, oh, this was an inside joke. Or like, that's the stuff you lose out on because we were friends. We were friends. And I think we just made much better friends than we did in a relationship. And a lot of it was because some of those unhealthy expectations on I think, on both sides.
Well, since y'all talking that talk, let me go ahead and talk that talk too. Not only was I the only one that worked for the first 4 years out of a 5-year marriage, I put this woman through school. This woman now has a doctorate that I paid for. This woman had her parents that were telling her, oh no, what you gonna do about that financial aid? And thank God I didn't sign my name on anything. But all those bills that would come from the school, I remember one time the school called and said, if you don't pay $5,500 by Friday, you're out of the classes. You're out of this program. And as somebody that's in sales, boom, 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 made this happen and paid it by Friday, cash, not So this book costs $500. Oh, this is $300. I paid for it all. Moved 2 states for this person. I live in Dallas right now because she was getting her internship here. That's why I'm here. So trust me, I understand, as far as putting something on your back and like making it work. But I also give some silver lining, which is the reason why I need to probably do a YouTube page. Met my wife, God-fearing woman, amazing partner. In the first year, was able to go from $15,000 in debt to her showing me how to get a 750 credit score to buy a house, help her buy a house. Now we have 2 homes, get married, able to have a rental property with her. Able to elevates. Exactly. Able to buy a brand new car for the first time in my life, about to get her a brand new Lexus. I mean, when I tell you that scripture that says, 2 can set 10,000 a flight ain't no joke. And you have to be reminded the reason why the scripture is true is because 2 can set 10,000 a flight if they agree. So it ain't just any 2 people that can set 10,000 a flight.
Correct.
So can you let me borrow $10,000 since you got it like that?
I mean, look, man, look.
Okay, that wasn't appropriate. Look, he was sharing a moment. He was sharing a moment that we should applaud and celebrate. That was inappropriate.
I want to do a YouTube page right now because I realize that guys go through divorces, and look, when I tell you that thing will knock you off your donkey. You thought your life was gonna be like this, and then it just ain't like this no more. You know what I'm saying? And it took me a while. I'm still kind of learning how to go back to like level 10 working, because the reason why I was on level 10 working is because my ex had terrible spending. So I'm like even learning.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. So So yeah, that's where I'm at, and that's why platform be coming soon, because I want to help some other men, especially walk that process out. So.
Well, can
Bro.
you, as you are setting up this platform for those women like there are some women that are in that space too, because I think, just to add to your point, which is not what we're talking about, but it's hard when you're a woman in that space, because what you get is, oh, you're too masculine, you're doing too much, you're not letting a man be a man. But I'm like, how we gonna eat? You want me to not go to work so we can be both struggling? So you can't do the things that you want to do? Like, there has to be a level of understanding too. Like, there's a lot of women that do that. Like, to what you were saying, like your wife was like, let's get this together. I'm gonna help you get your credit up. I'm gonna do all that. There's a lot of women doing that and carrying their entire relationship. And like, that is hard, because then you're expected to be not only the financial person, you're also supposed to be the caregiver, this nurturer, and all this other things that come with people expecting what they expect of a wife. And I think there's also just needs to be more understanding about how that plays into your roles, and like how you navigate those waters, because that there is something for supporting your spouse. There's something about that, because everybody's not going to be up at the same time. You're going to have ups, and I'm going to have downs, and we're going to have to carry each other. But when you are always the person carrying, and that's what I said, like, I could have been real petty. Like, I could have been real petty, especially because my ex went on like a Facebook rant on some like, all my money's gone and all that stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, I walked away from a lot of shit, including porn.
Is it all you?
So you could be great. So
Right.
It was a lot. It was hard. And so teach your class and then teach women too.
Yeah, my hardest part is finding a teammate, because most of the people I've been dealing with, they're not team oriented. They're either trying to get what you got or are bashing you for having too much.
The shade room. That's what Nico's.
We are throwing shade. It's true.
No, it's
rightly placed.
We like Will said, and I hope that when you do get that going, I can be on there, because you already know my testimony, bro. Sitting in the middle of the woods with a loaded 9 because of everything that was going on and how heavy that divorce was. I landed in jail because of that stuff. Like, not only was I going through a divorce, but she left me because my business was upside down.
When you were down. She left you were down.
Our rental properties were in foreclosure. My grandmother died. Like, that was the person I would have went to for solace, for comfort, and she died. So I'm like, bruh, all this stuff happened at once, and I just went to the darkest place possible and stopped caring about life, stopped caring about my effect on other people, stopped caring about my effect on myself. And it just led me to a dark place, to where I was finally sitting in a cell thinking, I don't want to be this example to my children.
Right.
And I'm like, and it getting locked up to see that.
You see how that contributed to your current struggle with your ex, right? Like, so I'm saying, like, it really does. I think there really has to be something said for like, what is the catalyst for your breakup? Because all of that plays into how you're able to talk to her, engage with her, have a relationship with her. Like, if you have all of that, it's going to be hard and impossible to do. But like, when you have other people who you were like, I just dated this person, or I just whatever, like, there's less baggage with that. There's a lot less baggage with that.
But you know, the
I think that makes it
thing,
easier to establish relationships.
Craziest thing about all that was I'm going through it because of her, but she was in the courtroom crying the loudest.
Right. Well,
So,
we can do a whole episode on women and false narratives, but that's a whole nother thing.
Exactly. But to me, I'm like, I move on. I get over stuff and I keep it moving. I don't live in the past. I live in the present, because I'm trying to build a better future. So I will keep on moving. But I realize that there are some people that just can't get past their past. They want to stay there. They want to keep reliving those moments, whether positive or negative. To me, I'm like, build a better narrative. Be a better person.
Well, so I'll say this right here, and kind of getting over that your past. Is everybody still on?
I hope so. I can still hear you. Hopefully, you heard what I said. Sean's face is just frozen.
I think Sean's Wi-Fi just said hell no. Ooh,
and we lost her.
Did we just lose Sean? She was okay.
We did.
Yeah, I guess.
He'll probably come back on when she gets that straight.
Get back on there, but I think something needs to be said just about being whole, trying to get back whole. Like, nothing's wrong with therapy. Nothing's wrong with speaking to so a lot of times older folks who have been through it. You know what I mean? If you're not a fan of therapy, I'm a fan of therapy. I'm a fan of kind of getting it off your chest and having somebody kind of walk you through it, because I think that the issue is that we are just we're walking around too broken. I'm not saying you need to be perfect, but we're walking around with all this baggage from our exes, and
That's right.
and we're not able to like really come to a relationship and be our authentic selves because of all that baggage and all that hurt that we've kind of went through. I strongly would suggest for somebody that's going through like that to see some. Hey, Sean, she's back.
Hi.
So
my phone overheated. It decided to stop working.
Oh Lord. So I was just saying, I just strongly agree that folks need to go through some counseling, or speak to someone older, just to kind of have someone walk you through some of those steps, because a lot of those things are normal, but you don't know they're normal. It's kind of like, so obviously my wife has never been married before, so this is her first one, my second one. But a lot of things that kind of go on, she doesn't know that these are normal things. Like she's like, oh my God, you have all this stuff on the counter in the bathroom. I'm like, yeah, no.
Because I live here.
I live here, and she's just like, but why is this all this stuff? And it's like, I'm like, this is normal stuff. Like this is, like, no, this is not, we're going to argue about this. It just kind of is kind of par for the course. But a lot of people don't understand that a lot of the hurts that they're experiencing, a lot of the baggage that they're walking around with is also normal. Correct. It's also par for the course. But you still have to process that stuff and not bring that stuff into your new relationship.
And not project it on your new partner, right? Like I think
you ain't lying. Come to me healed. Because I don't have time.
It's coming to me trying to heal.
As healed as you can get.
Because healing is a long, iterative process. But it's important that you deal with your trauma and you deal with your issues and you process that, because if you don't, you're just bringing baggage from one person to another. And you can't work through things. And I think a good portion of people just don't think relationships should be hard work. And I think you're absolutely right. Well, like you need to surround yourself with people who are where you want to be, or in relationships that you at least value and think are important. So you have healthy examples and role models. And then to be that for the next generation. Like I think the other thing is too, enough people who are happily married, they covet it. They don't talk about it. They don't, we talk about all the bad ones. A lot of people who are happily
married. When you say hard work, when you say relationships are hard work, does it always have to be hard?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's a full-time job.
Yes,
because you're dealing with another human being.
Yes.
You're dealing with somebody else's emotions and their spirituality, all those things. That makes anything difficult. It's not by the nature, and some difficult things are good for you.
Sean, your volume seems low.
There's good stress. I'll try to turn it up. How about that? Better?
There you go.
Better.
There's good stress and there's bad stress and there's good challenge and healthy challenge, and hard things don't have to be bad. And I think the expectation is that if it's hard, it shouldn't be worth doing, and everything is worth it.
When you say hard, I'm thinking negative, not that it's just something to get through.
To me, anything worth having is working hard on.
Yeah. First of all, most issues in marriage, and if you want to really learn about marriage, study a guy named John Gottman. He's like the big dog on marriage, right? And it'll surprise you. Like he talks about like 70% of marriage arguments in marriage are issues that will never change. Yeah. Right. So essentially, like you're arguing about somebody's mama who always gonna be crazy. You know what I'm saying? Who or I'm gonna argue about your driving forever. Like, so some stuff, let that stuff go. Like it won't ever change. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, marriage itself may not be that difficult, but cohabitation is hard as hell.
Absolutely.
All right. So when you're talking about blending your life with somebody, I always think it's weird when somebody can like get with people who don't believe the same stuff that they believe. Yeah. Like, because it's already hard enough. Like you coming in here with your 30-something years of experience in life and all that kind of stuff. It's different when y'all both 19. Like I'm not.
When you in your 30s.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna front. Me and my wife talk about this. Like, is it better to get married at like 19? You know what I'm saying? And just stay with that person for life, or what?
Okay. On that note, we ventured off. That might be a good little placeholder. When is a good time to get married?
For next time.
Yeah, exactly. When is a good time to get married, and what should
when the other person does not get on your damn nerves?
Okay.
Oh goodness.
Okay. All right.
Michelle, tell people who you are.
This is why she's not friends with any of her exes.
Exactly. Final word.
It's hard enough for us to be friends with her, let alone her exes.
And you know what? Don't do me.
They just called you just cussing out immediately. You're like, I was just telling you I had COVID.
Michelle don't pick up the phone.
She showed
Oh,
up.
no, you ain't talking.
Don't answer.
You know I know you in real life, right?
Michelle, tell people who you are and wrap up.
I am Michelle C, aka DJ Make a Move. You can find me on Candid Kisses TV, which is my podcast, on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you love makeup, you can check that out at Kissable Looks Cosmetics. And if you like music games, you can check out Singadoo. That's SINGADOO.
Will.
All right, Will Jordan, Renaissance Will. Just remember, man, your exes are trash for a reason. That's why they're your exes. Leave them niggas alone. All right.
Sean.
I feel like I'm a raccoon in the trash all the time. That's my problem. LaShondra Cordier, there's something happening in my phone. I'm sorry, there's a lot of things. LaShondra Cordier, part of Grown Ass Dating, which talks about dating after 30. So we cover a lot of these topics. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and our webpage, grownassdating.com.
And I'm author Ron Walker. This has been another great episode of Opposing Perspectives. Make sure y'all join us. Seems like we're doing every other Monday at 9, but just keep a lookout for a flyer, a story, or something. But make sure you follow everybody, and we'll be seeing you soon. Good night, everybody. Love you guys.
All right, peace.
Bye.